All right, Shalom. This is the brother Nahali from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Aquas who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit, Kodash is holy, Akyam is brothers, Akwat is sisters. Shalom means peace, and Yasher Allah is Israel in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. All right, this is Micah chapter 3 and verse 1. And it reads, "And I said, Hear I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and ye princes of the house of Israel. Is it not for you to know judgment?" All right, because through the Spirit, the Lord is raising up the heads of Jacob in these last days. All right, the 144,000 represents that governing body. All right, in essence, it's the heads of Jacob. Now, Jacob is the former of all things, and as a nation of people, we will be above all nations on the earth. And every Israelite man will have preeminence over the heathens. But amongst Jacob, you have the heads, just like in the ancient world. All right, when you think about how the Lord is setting everything up, beginning with our apostles on down, leadership has been established. And the Lord is returning that government. All right, we're being restored again through the Spirit. All right, so if you know and understand this truth as a man of Yahweh Shemel Shai, and you're laboring, the Lord is setting you up to be a head of Jacob, man, to be a prince in Israel. All right, and that's not just a rank, it's a responsibility. And we're learning that through the time that we're coming into now. We're learning that through the labor and the patience. As the scriptures say, the rich sit in low place. Because we're rich, because we inherit all things through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right, yet we sit in a low place as we learn judgment. Because the heads of Jacob, when you think about it, were the ones that were set up to enforce the law. You had princes, you had elders at the gates in all the major cities in the nation of Israel in the ancient world. And it was their responsibility to execute judgment. When they failed to do so, wickedness polluted our entire land and we went into captivity. So really, it began with the heads of Jacob failing, dropping the ball, so to speak. And we fell away. All right, now the Lord is restoring the judges as at the first. All right, matter of fact, let's get that. Because it's a beautiful time that we're living in. And that's why, you know, through the Spirit, this isn't for the casual Israelite. The Lord is raising up the heads of Jacob. The 144,000 represents that governing body that's being established, all right, in order under Yahweh Shai. All right, Yahweh Shai is the King of Kings. He is the chief cornerstone. And 144,000 are laborers to build that foundation. Pillars, if you will. All right, real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 1. And verse, you know what, I'll start at 21 to give some context. How is the faithful city becoming harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. Thy silver has become dross, thy wine mixed with water. Thy princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Because in the ancient world, that's what happened to our people. All right, they fell away. And the princes had failed in judgment, failed to execute judgment, failed to uphold the law. All right, and eventually what happened is wickedness will overcome a city, overcome a region, and eventually it will overcome all of the nation of Israel, and we will be sitting in a captivity. So order was established to maintain the law, statutes, and commandments so that we wouldn't go into captivity. And now through the Spirit, the Lord is restoring those judges as at the first, who understand judgment. All right, that's why scriptures say, ye heads of Jacob, is it not for you to understand judgment? Right now, we're being groomed in understanding judgment. That, Lord willing, our fishing will result in us becoming hunters, and we will be able to execute judgment. All right, real quick. I'm going to continue here in Isaiah, the 1st chapter. Let's go here. Verse 25. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and purely purge away thy dross, and take away all thy tin. Now you can, in essence, see that in the form of the Lord giving us this truth, this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, giving us eyes to see and ears to hear it, to receive it, to convert and be healed. It starts with the leadership of the nation of Israel. And then it trickles down through the Spirit. That's why this is only for the elect on this side. Because in essence, the elect is the heads of Jacob under Yahushua. All in their proper order. Because even amongst the elect of the nation of Israel, even amongst the 144,000, there is rank and file. Yet that 144,000 is the heads of Jacob. And a lot of our people are really, they're really lost as far as our nation in the ancient world and how we were set up. You hear about the major names like Moses, King David, King Saul, but the ordering of the kingdom involved many men being in administrative positions, positions of judgment. When you think about it from that aspect through the Spirit, it's easy to understand why this is only for the elect on this side. Lord willing, this be edifying, because again, the heads of Jacob are the ones that are set up to enforce the law, all right, in ancient Israel. They were the ones set up to oversee the city, to make sure that the law, statutes, and commandments were being honored. When Jake went off, judgment was being executed, so on and so forth. And now in these last days, we know Israel is all going to be saved, and we're going to get those new bodies, and we're going to be sinless. Yet the heads of Jacob are going to be there to execute judgment and governance. And they're the ones who are being raised up first. When you hear about the elect being sealed, ultimately, it's the heads of Jacob, the governing body, all right, and the innumerable multitude. And it's important because that's how you establish a nation of people. The king isn't set up to make have to play every position. The king is set up for judgment to oversee the government, but then you have the government itself, which is the administrators, the princes, the judges. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. That's what the Lord is setting up now. That's why you're under tutors and governors right now. Isaiah 1, and I'm going to continue at verse 26. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And through the Spirit, I'm doing this lesson because, again, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. The Lord is grooming the leadership of the nation of Israel. Begin with our apostles and elders under Yahushua. That government is being set up. That governing body is being set up through the Spirit. And that's where it begins. All right, Yahushua is that cornerstone. The elect are the first fruits. And then through that, the nation of Israel is redeemed and saved in righteousness. The rest of the nation comes back in righteous bodies. They cannot learn iniquity anymore. Therefore, we live forever. And then through that being set up, the nation of Israel become kings and priests. And we become an intercessor, if you will, between the nations, the other nations, and Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Because you know what? Let's bring this out. This is 1 Corinthians 14:33. For Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is not the author of confusion. All right. So the Lord orders things in a very particular, intentional manner. And even in these last days, that order is being established. And it's being established through the Spirit. So a lot of people can't see the order being established. You know, you have Jake who just come in and they see the division and they can't understand why the Lord is doing this. And it's all necessary because, again, we're under tutors and governors. Even these controversies, in essence, are tutor and governor in judgment. Because we read our records, we read the wisdom in the scriptures, and then we apply it according to judgment. And what you see is the divisions according to discernment and judgment. As the Lord purges the heads of Jacob, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. All right? I mentioned it, I paraphrased it a few times. I want to bring it out. This is Galatians chapter 4. So when you're walking through this world, you know, understand that the Lord is tutoring you and governing you in judgment. Because Lord willing, we be a part of that number. The Lord is setting up the heads of Jacob. For you to have this truth in these last days, it puts you in that position to be one of the heads of Jacob. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. Beginning with our apostles and elders, they've given us the example of how to carry ourselves in this truth through the Spirit and how to hold fast to what we have. Because in essence, that's one part of judgment, consistency. You have people who have changed the doctrine, all right, who are tossed to and fro. And that's not a good example of judgment, proper judgment, because the laws of the Lord stand forever. And we're learning these lessons in real time. All right, this is Galatians 4:1. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differeth nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. Hey, and I'll say this too. The heads of Jacob are being set up through the Spirit. All right. Now the camps, how the Lord set up the camps, are for a particular matter, for a particular reason. But every member of the camps, the laborers, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. No matter what your position is, the Lord is setting you up to be a head of Jacob. You know, whether you're holding a sign, whether you're reading, the Lord is setting you up to be a head of Jacob if ye endure to the end. Because we've come from Babylonian backgrounds, so we don't really understand government and how to govern ourselves, and we don't really understand certain things. So the Lord is giving us that understanding in real time through the camps, through fellowship, through the labors, through the divisions, through the trials and tribulations you go through. And we're understanding our culture in real time through all these situations we go through, that Lord willing, that process that the Lord started in us will end with us being one of the princes of Israel. Because a prince is not just a rank. It's a responsibility, and we're learning that. Whether your responsibility is great or small. All right? So you may be a brother that's a reader, but the Lord is setting you up to be a head of Jacob if you endure to the end. Because again, we come from these small backgrounds where we're used to things, we think of things very small-minded. And it's because of where we come from. We sit in low place right now. So we don't have access to true governance. So the Lord is showing us that through the trials and tribulations and the ministry, the body. And we're learning government through that. But whether your position is great or small, the Lord is setting you up to be a head of Jacob. And Lord willing, we be a part of that number. All right. This process that the Lord has started, he's going to finish. That's where the rank and file comes in. That's where the crowns being given. You know, we've learned that being a prince or being a king, all right, is something that's just a reward with all the trinkets and no responsibilities. Well, we're learning those responsibilities now, because the heads of Jacob ultimately are the ones who had to bear those responsibilities. That's why, you know, I'd say this a lot because it's true. You know, this isn't for the casual Israelite. Because again, in the ancient world, the matters of judgment concerning the cities of Israel in the ancient world wasn't for the casual Israelite. You had Israelites who were in the carpentry, architecture, different manners of keeping a city sustained. But they weren't necessarily set up to judge the city. The Lord is setting up that order now. And if you're a part of this body, if you endure to the end, the Lord is setting you up for that position. Lord willing, we be a part of that number, man. Because it starts with the heads of Jacob. It starts with the heads of Jacob. Beginning with our apostles on down, that's where it starts. That's the ordering of the kingdom. You know, the disciples will sit on 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. That's a part of order. All right, so Lord willing, this be edifying. I just want to go into that through the Spirit. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.